going to call the regular meeting at 7:03 now. And I'm going to ask Burgess, Masculine to lead us to the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Motion that the Board of Members approve the minutes of the regular meeting, May 2nd, 2023, and special meeting of May 10th, 2023, and May 17th, 2023. Members have copies. Very good.
The May 17th meeting, I should be marked absent on that one.
Okay, so noted. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion the Board of Members to approve the monthly report of May. Each member received copies for review.
Second.
Questions or discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. So, first of all, I'm going to announce that we are going to have a special meeting this month. It looks like it's going to be, June 20th. That's one of the only days that work. The reason for it is we're going to have a fairly lengthy special presentation on our downtown project from Kleinfelder, our engineer. So I'm sure there'll be a lot of questions, comments, and we have a big agenda tonight, and I don't want to rush that. So we're going to have a special meeting on the 20th. Just to bring everyone up to date and just to remind everyone, that project is for improving the drainage, the stormwater drainage, sanitary sewers, infrastructure on the west side of Naugatuck in order to allow us to fix existing problems, but also to prepare for our downtown development projects. There's also streetscape improvements for Church Street and Maple Street that are extensive, and we'll have, quite a bit of discussion on that. Those plans are expected to be complete, I'm going to say in July, and hopefully we will be approving them and going out to bid this summer. So it's a very important special meeting. I encourage everyone to attend. Also on Rubber Avenue, the plans are complete. The project is out to bid right now. So that project will also be starting this year from basically from Old Firehouse Road out to North Hoadley Street. And remember, that's the project where we received $6.5 million from the state in order to make Rubber Avenue safer. The roundabout, the modern roundabout is the reason we're getting the money, because that's safer according to DOT. And there's going to be some really nice aesthetic improvements to Rubber Avenue that are well incorporated in the plan. So that hopefully that project will start this year. The Uniroyal project, the industrial subdivision, the plans are supposed to be complete also around the same time in July. Remember, we received a SIF, Connecticut Investment Fund grant, and we will be proceeding with that and our TIP financing, which will also apply to downtown Naugatuck, the industrial park, as per our prior discussions. Parcel B, we're going full speed ahead. It's somewhat delayed with the state. The state is a little behind schedule on the design for the new train platform and the train station. Remember, we received $6 million where we will be building Water Street, part of Rubber Ave, and a new road that will come from the train station out to Old Firehouse Road. So those are also in the early stages of design. The state is at about 30%, and it's moving forward, not as quickly as we would like, but it's moving forward on a regular basis. So Rubber Ave, downtown Church Street, Maple Street, Old Firehouse Road, Water Street, will all be getting significant makeovers pretty quickly. You know, the Connecticut Water Company is already in the road in downtown Naugatuck. And remember, we need new water lines, new sanitary sewer lines, new stormwater lines, new electric lines, new gas lines, fiber, frontier, you know, for internet, etc. It's all part of the plan. They're all going in soon, and those roads will be totally upgraded. So, I know the Burgesses already know this, but I'm saying it publicly, so our friend Andreas can write it down, record it, and the whole world can know. So, and we will be discussing those items in executive session in more detail at the end of the meeting. So having said that, we're going to have a special meeting on June 20th, and we will discuss all of these projects tonight in executive session. So we will now go to public comment. We'll start in the room. Is there anyone who would like to make a public comment? All right, on Zoom, is there anyone who would like to make a public comment?
Negative.
What?
Negative.
All right, second call. Final call. All right, we will now accept our monthly report from, it looks like Ken Hanks. Is Kyle there? I don't know whoever.
Kyle is here.
Okay,
I
Kyle.
am here. There, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate it. Thank you. I'll make it quick. I know you folks have a long meeting tonight. Busy month last month. Obviously, there was a number of different events that we attended and staff. We were there for the opening of the skate park, as well as for the food truck event. We were also able to do a nice little show and tell at Tender Years Daycare this year. That was requested by one of the parents there to have us come and let the kids see the ambulance and show them around and get them comfortable. I just want to say thank you again to everybody for their support. We've received a number of emails and phone calls over the last month from residents and patients, showing expressing their gratitude, which is really appreciative to us. We don't often get that. We did get a grant from Ion Bank. Thank you to Ion Bank, which will help us replace 2 stair chairs to help us get folks in and out of houses up and down stairs, which we put in service today. And we are currently working on, we are staffing one of our adjoining towns in Bethany. We're assisting them with EMT coverage, which is a pretty big change for what we've done in the past. As well, we have been getting frequent phone calls and requests to assist one of the commercial services in the city of Waterbury. So we're still growing, we're still building, and I think we're doing very well. And I appreciate everybody's support. If there's any questions,
Questions for Kyle?
Yeah, Kyle, we have 8 new staff members now.
that's correct. We just hired 8 new EMTs to help fill the roles. All are just about all of them are cleared. We have one more that's in the process to be let go on their own on the ambulances. And a few weeks back, we also promoted several new field training officers. to the ranks within the department. So, we're growing and, we're getting bigger and better.
It just shows people want to come and work at Naugatuck Ambulance. And, at the end of the summer, there's the normal kids that go back to college. During the year, there's people that get other jobs, that they've been looking for or into the service. We have quite a few. So, it's great to see that we're filling in the ranks rather quickly.
Okay, any questions, comments? Okay,
Thank you.
thank you, Kyle. All right, item 8, facade improvement program. So as we discussed, and as part of our TIP district, we will be offering a facade improvement program in the TIP district, which is basically downtown Naugatuck and Rubber Avenue to start. It may at some point go beyond that to the entire town, but we're going to start within the TIP district. And tonight I'm assigning Attorney Fitzpatrick the task of working with staff this month. We're going to use 2 or 3 other facade programs that we've looked at. We're going to come up with, I'm going to say, a business plan for it. We're going to bring it here next month and talk about it. And then we'll put it in final form and present it. But normally a facade improvement program is an incentive program to give property owners incentives to upgrade their exteriors. So for example, on Rubber Avenue, we're getting a new street. We're taking 7 town buildings ultimately and getting them on the grand list with new buildings. We're gonna eliminate many of the eyesores. We've already eliminated the recycling center, but we want to really give a real jump start to Rubber Avenue and take it from its current state to a real beautiful gateway to our high school. A lot of people who come to Naugatuck for the first time come that way, and over the years, I think it's fair to say the road lost its way, and now we're gonna bring it back. So it'll take a few years, but with our streetscape improvements, with our town buildings being upgraded, the exteriors, with the facade improvement program, I think it'll make a pretty dramatic business over the next several years. So, Nat, I want you to come in. We'll show you the ones we have, what we like, and we'll play around with it. And then when we come back to the borough board, we'll talk about the incentive we're going to offer. We're going to offer 50%. How much? There's some business decisions we have to make, and we'll proceed with that expeditiously. Megan, you're on that. So we'll try and move that as quickly as we can. Any questions on facade improvements? Okay. New sidewalk ordinance. So since last month, well, I shouldn't say that, over the last 4 or 5 months, we've been doing an inventory of all sidewalks in Naugatuck, including the condition, proximity to schools, safety issues, and other issues. And we're preparing a prioritized list to begin a sidewalk improvement program that will be implemented, at least in part, by making a new ordinance. And as we all know, our existing ordinance is woefully inadequate and does not address in any way the problems with our sidewalks. So as I said before, if we were to fix every sidewalk in Naugatuck today, it would cost $22 million. So we're not gonna fix every sidewalk in Naugatuck today, but we're gonna implement this year a program where we will, I'm gonna call it a pilot program, as to how we can improve all sidewalks within a plus or minus 6 to 8 year period, starting with the worst and moving along throughout the entire town. So what we've done tonight is we've handed out a very rough draft of a new sidewalk ordinance. And I guess we'll all take it home, read it, think about it. But at the end of the day, we're gonna have to have a plan that's gonna work something like this. We're gonna prioritize, we're gonna approve a list. We're gonna attack the list in the order of the priorities. We're gonna have contractors who are going to be available to do the work on those sidewalks. We're gonna have to figure out a percentage of what the town pays, what the homeowner pays, and of course, the town will pay for all town sidewalks. And we'll proceed with a plan that we'll talk about, but will be something like everyone will be given an opportunity to participate in the town plan. If they do, they'll get the incentive. If they don't, they will be assessed for the cost of the site. So there's a lot of numbers in there. There's a lot of ways to do it. So we're going to start with a suggestion from the borough attorney, and then we'll talk about it. And remember, we have a little time with this to make it right, because we budgeted $200,000 to start a pilot program. And as long as we have it done in the next 3 or 4 months, even if we don't start in winter, we're going to start the program in the spring. And then as we get to budget season, next budget season, we can tweak it, modify it, and then decide how much each year we're going to do after we see how it works. So I encourage everyone to look at this, to think about it, and we'll go from there. Now, Jim Stewart, one other factor in the priority list, we're also going to factor in when roads are being paved, because sometimes a road that is on our paving list and is being paved may be given priority over other roads because it's more efficient and it looks better to do the sidewalks and the roads together. So that addition to our priority list will be worked on by staff. So I'm going to stop there for a second. And Jim, do you want to add anything to that?
Covered very well.
George has a
Well,
question.
all right, hold on. Okay, so Megan?
No, I was just pointing out that George had a question.
Oh, okay. George has his hand up. So we recognize Burgess George Mudry.
Good evening, everyone. So my question is this: are we still going to go with the stone curbs to go with these sidewalks, or is it something that we're going to that's going to be up for discussion?
Yeah,
Well, I mean, right now we have a policy and the concrete or the granite curbs going to downtown and some of the main roads. That's certainly a discussion. And, you know, we prefer the granite, but it is a lot more expensive.
so the answer, George, is it's up for discussion, except for the downtown areas and the areas that already have granite curbs from our other project. Those will always be required to maintain granite, and we'll have to make a decision on the rest of the town.
So to follow up on that, if we decide not to go with the granite curbs, would that give us more money to do more sidewalks?
Yes. Okay, any other questions?
Can I make some comments?
Sure.
I know we just got this, but just reading through it quickly. In order to determine if a sidewalk needs replacement or repair, it doesn't seem to have any objective criteria. In other words, does,
Stop it. You're right, but we're gonna fix that with the list. The list is being based on objective criteria. So this is nowhere near the final ordinance, but your question is a good one, or your comment. But what you're saying is what is being done by the engineering department now. We have a new employee who is taking into account all of those objective criteria in making the list. Now, when we look at the list, you know, someone may say, well, this is not as bad as that or whatever, and we'll talk about it, but the list should deal with that.
well, that's my question, just some thoughts off the top of my head. You know, let's say something like if 25% or more is cracked within a 4x4 area, or more than 5% is out of level, or uneven pads more than 3/4 of an inch, will it have all that detail in there?
Not in the ordinance, that detail will be factored into the list.
Okay, I'm a little leery when we start talking about putting a lien on a house because of a sidewalk. I mean, I know it's a way to control it, but you know, for the next 4 years, people are gonna be paying more because of revale. So that kind of makes me a little nervous.
That's part of the discussion.
Yeah.
I can tell you that I get countless complaints about sidewalks. And based on our ordinance, we can't do anything about it because the burden is on the homeowner right now to fix it. And I'll tell you this, in the next 100 years, if we don't take action, the sidewalks are not gonna get fixed. So at some point in time, we have to make a decision about when we're gonna do it. So I like what we're doing. I like spending $200,000 on a pilot program and coming up with a plan and implementing it. You know, someone is gonna have to pay 22 million, either the homeowners or the town or a combination. So we're gonna talk about a combination and then we'll see. It could be 60-40, could be 80-20. No, I don't know. It's a very good question, but the answer depends on the collective wisdom of this body. So I have confidence in our collective wisdom.
So we're gonna revisit this in 21, 23.
No, we're gonna.
You said 100 years.
Well, we're gonna do the ordinance now. And then we're gonna attack it and see what happens.
Mary, just, you know,
Thank you.
quickly on that, your question about how the allocation of money and so forth. Some towns do it differently. Seymour is 2/3, you know, the proposal suggestion was 1/2 here, but again, that's all part of the discussion.
Yeah.
How that.
Any other questions?
Just one minute, not a question, just a comment. I know that normally overdue taxes and so forth, the interest rate is always 18%. We seem to use that 18% no matter what the deal is. And it's just my thought that this is something that's going to be assessed to the individual. It's not because they didn't pay it. They might have. be in a
Well, the interest
situation-
rate won't be 18%. I can tell you right now.
Okay, what is going to be higher?
Well, it can't be higher.
No.
That'll be illegal. But the interest rate would be more comparable to a sewer lien, which is like 4%.
Yeah, that's, you know, I think it's different if someone didn't pay their back taxes or something. They get
Well, don't
assessed
forget, that's the state law.
for the 18%.
You can't take less than 18%.
But it seems that because of that, we tend to use it in every facet. You know, we just come up with 18% because that's.
Oh, no, we just did city water at, I think, 4%.
Correct.
So to me, this could even be less, maybe, I don't know.
you know, I say especially if somebody, if there was an assessment for their new
No,
sidewalk.
it could be no interest unless they're in default too. Maybe that's the way to do it.
I go for that. That's a good idea.
Except for on your street.
I don't have any sidewalks on my street. Don't worry about it.
It's funny, the reason I bring this up was, I was at a car dealership the other day, and they said you could finance your parts, if you need parts for your car services, at 32%. Holy mackerel, it's at 32%. That's it, they go, no,
Is that illegal?
apparently not,
Credit cards are like 29.9.
yeah. So it was big giving for your money. Yeah,
And every other.
All right. At this time,
thanks, man.
before we go to item 10, I'm looking around the room and see Chief McAllister. But any item that's on our agenda, that's later in the agenda, that anyone wants to expedite, step forward and we will take it out of order. So Chief, you know your number?
20.
You should have made him sit there and moved it to the end.
I think that.
The motion that the Board of Mayor and Burgess authorized mayor has to sign a contract with Police Information Network, annual software support and maintenance with LF Designs LLC, Phillips Lane, Darien, Connecticut, as recommended by Police Chief Colin McAllister.
Second.
All right, Colin, what's this all
This is a vendor that we are asking for approval to use for a software program. It's a digital roll call program, so we can digitize our shifts from ship to ship. So we're gonna get away from paper. So the local vendor. Give it a try and see if I can streamline some process.
Do we know what the annual fee is?
It's 2,000 up front, you know, and then it.
It wasn't very much, yeah, it decreases year after year, there's a few grand upfront, based on what Captain Bassett had told me. And then it's like a sliding scale, I mean, we have money to set it up, and then there's a maintenance. I'm thinking less than 50% of what we're paying year after year.
And this is the only vendor that is around that we,
So it was developed by, I think it's Darien actually, Officer. So it was more or less, we're just funding the cost of development and we're paying to maintain it. So that was the reason why we thought this was a good vendor. It's not a software company. Microsoft or Axon, it's a local one. We're just paying to basically maintain it.
is this a company that we would know, if you went through negotiations for a 5-year type contract? Or is this just gonna be a yearly type thing, where we can get a better deal in 5 years?
I don't know. I don't know that we want to go on a 5-year contract right now. We want to try it out for the first couple of years.
Okay.
To see if this is going to stream out the process and from a roll call perspective and scheduling over at the police department. If it works out well, then yeah, we will approach them and try to get a longer deal with a better rate. If it's not, then really, at this point, we can always fall back to the old system, but
Which I doubt that'll ever happen.
No, I don't think so. But we want to try to give this a shot.
Okay, cool.
Chief, excuse me, I know you, fire department, departments like yours, you know, one of the biggest things is schedule. You don't work in a normal schedule. Will this help you with that? You know, the scheduling of the people, the documentation and, you know, keeping the stored data.
So it's actually a separate item for the schedule. What it is generally shift to shift. There's patrol checks, the pertinent information is passed on, so it creates a digital log rather than traditional clipboard, which people use to get archive it and back and check.
Oh,
Then we did install smart screen and roll call, so we start using that every day. So it's kind of getting away from the traditional clipboard, pen and papers, will be able to know it's disseminated on a day-to-day basis. Sergeants will be able to update it from shift to shift. So that's really what we intend.
so Even better.
Chief, I think there's gonna be a lot of road jobs this summer.
Yes.
Is this gonna help with that?
I think this is not, the schedule software is more for road jobs. This is more operational for day to day, be on the lookout, permit information for patrol checks, information we receive from neighboring agencies and stuff for wanted work sales.
Also, that it's more than just work 8 to 4 and schedule like that, it's got other information in there.
Yeah, it's not a schedule, it's simply just a digital platform that we day to day maintain and log, and we will know what was passed on to the officers, for example, 2 weeks ago, and everything else is running system, and it's on our in-house server rather than a cloud-based system.
Great. Thank you.
Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's your only item, Colin?
Number 36, if you want to make at least social worker.
36.
Executive session. Yeah, we don't need him here for that.
He has to stay till after executive session, though, right?
Yeah, I can't help you with that. But, yeah, so, I don't know how you want to handle it. Do you want to be here for that?
Yeah, it's definitely important thing this started, so.
All right, well, you're-
That's my input. I definitely.
despite our good intentions, you're gonna have to wait.
But
It's all right.
Go have dinner and come back.
as we all recall, during the budget, during the budget session and everything, the police department gave a very compelling argument for having this position.
Right.
And I'm sure there's members on this board that will attest.
Okay, let's do this.
And the outstanding.
Many executive session.
Yeah. the
Yeah, so
outstanding-
then we'll do it in public session is what you said. Oh, come up here. All right, tell us, about the, social worker position, what your recommendation is. And we'll talk about it in public session, and then we'll vote out of order.
So my understanding is there's a presentation for a contract to enter into with Sherry Hatfield, the police department social worker. She will be beginning as a borough employee effective July 1. Pending the approval of that contract. Sherry's has been indispensable to us for the past year. She's started on July 1. She's been at the forefront of some more major cases. Some of you will recall that horrific homicide that we had with baby Camilla. She was somebody who was able to stay with the family, comfort them. From an operational standpoint, she was acting as a liaison, so detectives were visiting with that family on a near daily basis, multiple times. Our intent was to avoid re-traumatizing the family, and having a trained clinician that was able to kind of translate for us a little bit when we speak with the family again. If you recall too, last summer, there was a case where a man was left essentially crippled by a group of car thieves after he struck, trying to save his hand tools, which he was livelihood. Sherry again was able to sit with that family, make sure they had all the services they need, ensure that they were brought up to date on the investigation, again, on that as liaison. Those are some of the more high profile cases that she's helped us with. But most importantly, day-to-day things, just phone calls that we'll get from people who are needed in the community, or officers will see things from people out there on the road that just needs help. And she's been great with getting the services. I've asked obviously the borough to take her on as an employee, because I feel that ensuring that she has enough vacation, leave, adequate benefits and everything else is fair trade for the services she's given the community over the past year.
All right, and remember, it's already in the budget, and also in the budget is an additional contract with Stokes for a second social worker who will be under contract and who will be working closely on our opioid cases and our drug-related cases. Free Sherry up for some of the other cases. So, are there any questions for the chief?
Just is it less expensive to bring her on as a staff member versus hiring through Stokes?
So we looked at that to be basically about a range. So sure we make the specifics of the contract, but we budgeted for about 102,000 a year before, and this is a budget for the salary versus for this.
Gotcha, thank you.
All right, so, why don't we do this then? We're gonna dismiss you for the night chief, and we'll vote on this when we get to the executive session.
Thank you for your time tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're gonna go to item 22. Can I have a motion that the Board of Mayor and Burgess authorized mayor has to enter a 20-year solar power purchase agreement with Sun Wealth, Massachusetts Avenue, Cambridge, Mass. For the financing of ground mount solar array, inaugural police department as recommended by Advanced Energy Efficiencies.
All right, so we have with us, Gary Hill from Advanced Energy Efficiency. This is the solar project at the police department. So Gary, why don't you fill us in on the details?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. This has been part of the ongoing effort by the city, or by the borough to get green, sustainable, and to save money long-term on your electric costs. So far, we've done several schools, we've done the public works maintenance garage, and the daycare center. The police station is a ground mount, which generally costs more than a roof solar array. We have an authorization. We shopped around for the best financing available in line with what we've done in the past for the borough. And so this PPA, power purchase agreement, would be 20 years fixed, 9.75. It also would involve some electrical infrastructure upgrade in the police department to accept the solar power, and also to connect it, digging and all that. So all that's rolled into it. And we've looked around, and for the next 20 years, the long term, it should save several amount of money and energy. In addition to making the police station sustainable.
Said another way, we're not spending 5 cents, right?
Borough is not outlaying a nickel. That's always been our mission with Mayor Pete and the Burgesses. Save money, get sustainable, and no money out of pocket for the borough. So far, we haven't cost you a nickel.
So once this gets up and working, will this basically energize the police department?
It would, we were not able to do, Bob, on the roof of the police department. There's heating and communications and other things. Police departments, we like to stay away from, my brother was a police chief, so he said you should never mess around with police station infrastructure. So we had this plot of land to the east, Jim. It's the east.
Yes.
That works. And so, we connected in, but it will not cover all of the department's energy usage, but a substantial part of it.
Okay, do we have an idea of, do we have an estimated idea? I don't know what they pay now for annual electricity per year, but just for an example, say it's 20 grand,
Yeah,
okay? How much will this produce to reduce their energy?
if I remember correctly, this would cover somewhere between 50 and 60%. And the savings would occur over 20 years. We would save money from day one, but because of the added cost of both ground and connecting, plus upgrading the electrical infrastructure inside, the savings are more in years 3, 4, 5 and out. And so I don't have that, but I can get that.
But I just want to see it, so in next year's budget, when they present their budget, I don't want to see the same number, right, for electricity. I want to see it reduced because we're doing this.
Yes,
That's my point.
yes.
Thank you.
Is there a way to prevent vandalism since it's not on the roof, it's down on the ground? Is it fenced in or?
Well, generally, we try to, landscape around it, but, that's a hard one.
Yeah, you can imagine. Well, that topography is tough over there, isn't it? So I don't see a lot of kids hanging out here, especially in the Iowa Police Department.
I'm assuming we don't have any future use either for that portion of the land.
Well, it's a steep.
Yeah, it's the hill.
That'd be a
It's the
great,
hill.
Right,
great decision to go vandalize.
right. I understand they were gonna build apartments.
Yeah.
Well, that's on the top.
Yeah, I mean, I think most people in Naugatuck are pretty bright, and if I was a kid, I wouldn't be messing around with a police department, that's just me.
They're gonna put a chain link fence around it? Is that a thought or
I don't
no?
know if that's in the plan.
Okay,
Barbed
Oh,
wire.
you just said brush plantings.
well, we can electrify that brush, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does this project include battery storage?
Not yet. We're going to be coming in, state program now with, electric vehicle charging, for school buses. Naugatuck is part of the ACES network. ACES has a very futuristic, school bus charging, program that Naugatuck can get in for free. And, also, so we'll be coming back to for EV charging where it makes sense, and also battery storage, on buildings, where, we make a financial analysis for you that this works. But the battery incentives in Connecticut are just starting, and they're oversubscribed, and so we haven't come to the conclusion yet that it makes sense today. But we'll be coming to you soon, I'm sure.
Adam?
Didn't know if there was anything else, Gary, that you wanted me to comment on. I can, that's all.
Adam's a technical wizard, so.
They don't let me touch any of it.
All right, any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. All right. Last call, anyone in the audience, James? Okay. Allison, come on up here. Item 21.
Motion that the Board of Mayor and Burgess authorize the mayor has to sign a contract for a lease program for motor vehicle and other equipment acquisition with Skyline Financial Federal Credit Union, East Main Street, Waterbury, is recommended by Control of Allison. Second.
All right, Allison, James, you want to, how do you want to start this off?
I'll start.
Thank you, James. I thought he was building the business for David.
Yeah. I actually did take a page out of Dorothy's book and I brought pens too. Dorothy's always passing around pens, so.
Skylight.
I know. Dorothy's not for everywhere. I gotta keep up with her.
Thank you. Oh, David Skyler's on top.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Dorothy, I don't know.
This may be number
Well,
two.
yours are multiple colors. Rock and all.
Love it. That's a stylus, or is it an eraser?
All right, Allison.
Well, over the last couple of years, especially during COVID, obviously the interest rates started increasing. And the current lease program that we are with had a significant increase in the interest rates. So the cost was increasing for the borough. Therefore, I went on a mission and started discussing with leasing companies and other banks, other alternative plans for us to be purchasing our vehicles. The interest rates on a couple of the leasing companies that I looked at were even higher than the one that we had. I spoke with Tryon Bake. They, have a company, a leasing company that they do business with, it does business through Ion, and they weren't have any, interest rates, or they weren't really, that interested in our leasing program. I happened to have a discussion with James, and we sat down and we are actually crafting a custom plan for the borough of Naugatuck. And we are basically getting the best credit line rates possible with Skyline. In other words, would be considered like their highest rated customer. And the rates that we're getting are the best rates that they offer to their customers. And it will maintain that because of business stability.
We have, James, we have the contract here.
No,
I mean, that's what the motion says. So it's an agreement just to supply these rights for next year or.
Well, I mean, we can go for however long we, the proposal I entered into the folders on the right side, basically is a side-by-side comparison for what was, executed February of last year, which consisted of 1 fire truck plus 9 vehicles, 8 vehicles, 9 or so.
I don't know.
The total was almost 400,000, so whatever, $60,000, $70,000 difference that were in there. I did a side by side on that and looked at the interest rates that we presently offer. These are the interest rates as of today, which are, pretty comparable from the fire truck side. From the fleet side, though, it's significantly less at 2.39%. And that is actually the same thing as a person who walks into the credit union who has a credit for a 36-month loan. It's essentially the same rate. So basically, the borrower can save close to $62,296 if this agreement was done with me last year. And the biggest thing that I'd like to point out for this is not to get too nerdy with the financial terms, but the interest compounding is a major factor in how much you pay and over the period of time, like for the fire truck and the fleet truck. If you look on the upper right side, it says daily or continuous. I had a really hard time trying to true up that number, and I couldn't get it quite to a daily or continuous type of compounding. Whereas our compounding will just be annually because you make it annual lease payment. So therefore, you're saving on a compounded interest over that time in the life of the lease that you have itself.
So that's why the net amount is less.
Correct. Yeah.
So is that 3.5% over the 108 months? Or does that change?
Good question. That is a fixed rate, so that does not vary. It doesn't vary like month to month or year. So if we entered into this particular truck this year, you'd have 3.5 for the 108 months.
Gotcha.
And one thing that Allison identified,
We have to get nerdy one more time.
be nerdy one more time. The current leasing that you are going through, it's, if you notice, the terms are shorter for Skyline, and that is because I'm not charging, Skyline is not charging interest on the first year. So basically, you enter into an agreement with this company, you get a loan for, $798,000. You make that first payment on day one, and they're charging you interest on day one for the first school year. Versus the other 2 months.
So the beauty of Skyline is that they're going to mold our budget, our terms, our vehicle needs to the timeline that we need, and they're not gonna hold us to these straight 48 months, 120 months. We're going to align the delivery of our vehicles and the first payment that's budgeted for a vehicle in our budget. And then we're going to kick the loan in. So he's giving us the flexibility to start these with all these moving targets of the delivery of the vehicle, when our budget starts, and when we make our first payment, so we pay the least amount of interest in the shortest period of possible time from one vehicle to the next. I thought that was beautiful.
Yeah, so we put
Close to.
fire truck on today, we're not paying for it today, we're paying for it today.
James, when we reach AAA, we need a little better.
It's as best as it can get. That's as best as it can get. If you walked in the door with an 850 credit score, you're leaving with a fire truck at 3.5.
So. It's as low as it can get, yeah.
Not a big grocery store though.
I have a question, and this looks great, like, I like this. However, just like with any other thing we do, did we look at other credit unions? Instead of just, or look at other financial options other than just Skyline?
TD and Ion. TD didn't want to touch us. Ion could not be competitive. Two other leasing companies were much higher than one.
Do we have those documents, just so that we can see what their comparisons are?
I had
I believe you, I just don't know if someone's gonna ask that question at some
I
point.
had emails and two discussions.
Gotcha.
But the one that I was looking at, they were really looking for fleets and bigger fleets. So when they found out our size and were giving us the interest rates, which were in like the 6%.
Yeah.
They
No, I
were
mean, I have
starting at
no
6%.
doubt that Skyline's rates are the best. We talked about it too.
Any credit unions.
Yeah, I was gonna say theoretically, any
Yeah.
union's gonna give you a better deal.
I just wanna make sure I ask that question when it gets asked at some point that we did our due diligence.
Part of my research on this end, because I'm federally regulated, whereas like, I'm not sure if some of these other lease companies have a regulator at all.
Yeah.
Which is why they're much more egregious things in their terms, but there's only one other credit union in the state of Connecticut. It's Windsor Locks Credit Union. Now it's called Riverbank Credit Union, but they're working with their local town on some lending programs. Other credit unions based on asset size and willing to assume the risk because it is, even at the time, a risk to take on to the institution. Other credit unions just haven't jumped into it. So
Gotcha.
Riverbank Credit Union is now really the first two in the state to launch off, and there's just over 71 credit unions in the state.
Okay.
You had mentioned the interest rate won't change. But this just says if the bond rating is lower, which it never will be, that the interest rate not change.
So that's for the term of the lease. So it's not a variable interest rate during the term of the lease. So in this one, it would be the rates here. If rates go down next year or rates go up next year, that would be determined at that time. And then it's fixed for that period of the term, just like your, hopefully your car loan, if you have one, is a fixed rate today. Not variable rate.
And we should move it to the president.
I love the credit union plugs.
All you
I
do
did
is
that with
give
mine.
thanks.
Everything I
Yeah,
did,
right.
I moved everything that I financed to.
Make sure they write.
You don't have to do
It's the one that AAA uses, so. AAA too. Everything is merged with somebody, but I don't know. I never signed it down.
Are we good? Yeah, hold on.
Still got one.
Jim Stewart,
Are there any vehicles with already leased that we could refinance?
Well, I'm glad you said that, Mr. Stephen. We're currently, waiting on the outcome of this meeting to negotiate the fire truck that has not been done. Because of the savings we can make. Even the first payment.
well, if the refinance makes sense, we want to do it. Absolutely.
Correct.
Check it out.
Just one comment, Mayor, I know as Burgess is, we do a presentation and deal with department heads, with, vendors, if you will, at a monthly meeting. But, when you deal with, like, a finance department, accounting department, maybe not a daily basis, but on an ongoing basis, and you sort of test them at times, see where they're coming from. I could attest that Allison is a stickler for detail. And sometimes to my mismatch. But I will attest.
That's a compliment.
If she's giving you figures and she has researched them, she has drilled down as far as you could go. And I wholeheartedly support any endorsement that she did of any fellow, or any other. Trust me, I was tested today on that.
One last question, is equipment considered part of fleet?
The language we discussed is yes, would be yes, depending upon equipment. And we specifically spoke of some of the larger equipment in DPW.
Okay.
Then, we had spoken about, and you had finance.
Yeah, it's not uncommon
These,
for credit unions to finance things that aren't just typical consumer vehicles. We've had tractors before, we've had plow trucks that come through for farmers, so it's.
I'm just wondering if it should be fleet / equipment
Yes,
in the verbiage, that's
Yes.
all.
Yeah.
that was the plan,
Okay.
yes.
All right, last call for questions. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, so Shelby Jackson is, could be unmuted. We have, as per our last meeting, we have put, into place the rules for the, senior homeowner local tax relief 3-year program. Does everyone have a copy of the rule? No. You don't? Nope. Okay, Rocky, could you make a copy? It's exactly what we discussed with some,
Thank you.
so as you recall, we discussed all the rules, we codified them, and we, I would say, made some minor modifications that we will discuss, but Shelby, let's wait till everyone has the copy in front of them, so we can go through it one by one.
Very happy.
I know, huh?
Doing pretty good.
What do you say, that's,
So,
you just gotta.
Move into that office over in the corner.
You gotta teach them how to. You two-sided printing. I know, that's the extra fun.
Yeah.
Two-sided printing.
He is. Rocky, the copier.
First of all, they're gonna mix copies, what do they think of next? Should have used my stylus. Oh, I can't get my fingers under it.
Gotta lick him.
Hand it to somebody. We had like 15, I it's amazing.
Yeah.
Didn't know who wanted
We
them.
can hand them out to the neighbors.
That's all.
It's okay. Yes.
all right, Shelby, I'll start the discussion and then turn it over to you, and then we'll, take questions. But as we recall, after several discussions, we decided to implement a, senior 3-year, tax relief program. So, an applicant must own real estate as their primary residence, have attained the age of 65 as of December 31 of the year preceding the application. So that's pretty standard. The income eligibility, which we can discuss further, but what we came up with when we discussed it last time is we raised it 10,000 for from 50 to 60 and from 40 to 50. So those are the numbers that we presented tonight, and we can talk about those numbers. This is in addition to tax credits approved through the existing homeowners tax relief program. And right now we have approximately 300 citizens on that program. And the next rule was taken from some of the other towns, but we can discuss it. Must have been a Naugatuck resident, taxpayer for the previous 5 years. And then we go with what we said before, 600 years year one, 300 in year two, 150 in year three, with a cap, which means that in no event can your taxes go down. So if you have a tax increase of $200, you get a $200 credit, not a $600 credit. One benefit per household. There's no liens or anything of that nature associated with this program. Properties encumbered by existing municipal liens, unpaid taxes are not eligible until such time as the liens are satisfied. If an applicant's income rises, they must reapply each year, and the program applies to 22, 23, 24 grandless tax bills, etc. So this is an effort by Shelby to take our discussion at our last meeting and put it into a formal program that we would be adopting tonight. So I'm going to stop, Shelby, and why don't you add to what I said, and then we'll take questions.
Thank you, Mayor Hess. Well, you've really covered it all. I'll just add a few comments. I mean, this program is designed to, relieve the impact to the extent that we can on our most vulnerable population in Naugatuck. So as we phase in the reval, which is also an attempt to reduce the impact, we're going to phase this program out. So it's really an approach on both ends, for those senior citizens that fall within the income guidelines. I've done some research in terms of statistics about our elderly population, but really this program is designed very much like the one that is in existence in the city of Bristol, Connecticut, with some differences. Their program offers a $500 credit. We're offering $600 in the first year, so on. It's $300 the second year, and so on. It's very difficult to really try to estimate the impact on a fiscal basis, but I think what we're trying to do here is, I think worst case scenario, we have about 300. It's actually 297 people on the existing program. So those, let's round it off and say 300. Those individuals would automatically be eligible for this additional tax credit. And so the question really is, how many, because of the higher income level that we're allowing, how many would, in addition to the 300, how many would then qualify? And it's very hard to gauge that. Worst case scenario would be double, but I don't think it will be anywhere near that. But if it were double, you're looking at $360,000 cost to the town in year one, and half of that in year two, and then half of that again in the third year. If it were 500, it'd be around 300. If there were 400 total, it would be about 240. So the range is 240 to 360 in the first year. And I honestly believe it's going to be less than that, but I can't really sit here and tell you tonight that I can guarantee that. So I think it's a good program. I think it's been well constructed in terms of the criteria. And I'm prepared to implement it. We're working with our software vendor as we speak, to implement this. And the only thing I'm waiting on is, for this board to tell me what parameters you want me to implement, and then we'll get that going. Our intention is to have this in place so that at least those 300 individuals that are on the existing program, when our tax bills go out, let's say by July, that credit will be reflected on their tax bill. For those, I'm sorry?
Tonight.
I'm sorry.
I said, which means we're gonna vote on this tonight. We're gonna discuss it and implement it tonight.
Right, so that whatever you implement tonight would be reflected on the tax bills for those 300 individuals who are on the current program. For anyone who is not on the current program, we're allowing an application period starting on July 1 and ending July 1, 2023, and going through February 1st of 2024. So think of it this way. Someone gets a tax bill, and in that tax bill, we're going to include a reference to this program. They get the tax bill, they'll know that they can come in and apply for this tax credit. And we'll be able, if they come in, we'll be able to apply that to their first payment right away. If they come in later on, if some have made their first payment already and then realize that, they may be entitled to this benefit, they'll still have an opportunity to come in and that'll be applied to their second payment. So we've widened that application period really to allow everyone the opportunity to come and see if they qualify, for the benefit. Trying to think of what else I can tell you. I bet it's probably better to take some questions at this point. So it's a good program. It does sunset after 3 years. It will expire on the third year, just as the phase-in expires on the third year. So with that, I'll turn it up. Go ahead.
Brand.
Yeah, just one question, Shelby. If, someone might not qualify this year, but they retired during the year and next year they qualify, is there a plan in place that they can pick it up in the second year of the plan? And,
Yes.
Not qualify for the 600, but for the 300, if they pick it up in the second year.
Yes, that's a great question. Burgess Dombowski, thank you. So if they realize, and also if someone is not 65 this year, but they turn 65 next year, and they qualify on the income basis, they would be able to come in and apply. The application period would be each year up until May 15th. At that point, they could come in and apply, and they could get that benefit for the remaining 2 years or the 1 year, whatever the case may be. So yes, everyone will be able to come in and apply for it. And there may be those that are 64 now, but they'll be 65 next year, and so on. And also with that, if their income level changes, they would be required to come back in and reapply. But we don't anticipate that there'll be much of that. And we're following, again, not only state law, but we're following, the program that we've seen in other communities that have been very successful. In this case, specifically the city of Bristol.
Yeah, on line number 2, it says for a married couple, what if only one name is on the deed? It's still a married couple no matter what?
It's based upon the income of the household.
Okay, and then on line 5, where you have a tax credit regardless of marital status, that confuses me. We talk about marital status, then we say
Yes.
regardless of marital status.
So whether you're single or married, the credit in the first year would be 600, second year 300, and third year 150. So it's not, so if you qualify, that's the credit amount that you would receive, whether you're married or single. However, there is a distinction on the income criteria, whether you're married or single. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, so really, I mean, regardless, marital status doesn't even have to be there. It's just that everybody's gonna get it no matter what.
Well,
I just, it confused me when I read it, that's all.
yeah, no, I understand. And the point is, you know, that we're not going to allow 2 credits per household. We're only going to allow the one, and it's that one amount regardless of the marital status. And again, this language, that particular language was taken from the program in Bristol. And I hope I've explained it to you, but that's it. Regardless of the status, the credit will be the same. However, the income is different, you know, whether you're married or single. So you may not qualify single unless you meet that $50,000 income level, you know. But if you do, you're going to still get the $600 credit regardless of whether you're single or married.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I know, Shelby, you had said that they would get a notice in their tax bill about being able to apply for this. Do they have to apply in person? Because being that this is an elderly tax credit, I'm not confident all of them have the transportation or means to come apply in person.
Okay, so I'm working with the tax collector, you know, as far as the notification is concerned. However, on our existing program, there are some cases where people are unable to come in physically for one reason or another. So there's a couple of options. First, we try to encourage that they appoint an agent. Maybe it's their son, daughter, niece, nephew, relative, neighbor, anyone who could come in and process the application on their behalf. Okay, the other option is in some, you know, rare, I don't want to say rare cases, but as necessary, we actually have gone out and visited people at their home and taken the information there and process their application. So we make every attempt to make sure that if someone is eligible for the program, they have the opportunity to get that benefit.
Okay, so it does sound like it has to be like an in-person application then, because if we know they're eligible for the other program already, then can't we just put the application in there for them?
Oh,
With, like, a
okay. I'm
self-stamped
sorry.
envelope?
I'm sorry. I misunderstood your question.
That's okay.
Yeah, so the 300 that are on the existing program automatically qualify. And those 300 will automatically receive the benefit, and it will be applied to their tax bill before it goes out. So when they receive their tax bill, those 300 existing, when they receive their tax bill, the credit will be there already.
So they won't have to apply. They're already in the.
Correct. They will not have to apply.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do they still have to show their income?
They already have. Those 300 already have. So we already have an application for them. They're already approved. They already meet the criteria of this additional local program. So we have all the documentation, you know, for those 300. We're just, you know, going to have to process applications for anyone whose income level is above, you know. So for example, the existing program, the income level is around 40,000 for a single, around 50,000. It's 49,700 actually for the married couple. So anybody whose income is above that and did not qualify for the existing program will now be eligible to come in and apply for this program because the income criteria is higher than the existing program. So those are the only applicants that really need to come in and apply, you know, for the benefit. And what we're doing, because this is a brand new program, what we're doing is we're extending the period of the application period so that, you know, hopefully everybody will get it in their tax bill. They'll know to come in fairly soon. But even those who may, for one reason or another may be delayed, we're allowing plenty of time to get them onto the program. And then they'll be good for the next 3 years. And, we've really tried to think through this thing and think of every, eventuality there could be. And I think this program really is well done. And I would certainly encourage favorable consideration.
How many communities are at the 60,000 threshold? And are there any communities that are higher than that?
There are many communities higher than that, and I cannot, rattle off the numbers. Cheshire has a program. I don't want to rattle off the number because I don't want to give you a quote that's inaccurate. I can tell it's significantly higher than what we're doing here. Fairfield County, many towns down there, the numbers are, significantly higher as well. Bristol is 50,000. So we're at 60. We're higher than the program in Bristol, and that's kind of what we're, tailoring our program to what's been successful there.
I lied and have one more question.
All right, so I like it.
Number 9, so if an applicant's income increases, they must reapply. How will we know if their income increases if they don't reapply? Are we going on like an honor system?
That's a fair question. And there is actually language in the state law that addresses that. But your phrase that the honor system is, pretty much correct. We are, we're advising them that it's their responsibility that if their income goes above that level, they need to notify us or come in and reapply if it changes significantly. If we find out later on from one way or another that they were not eligible for any particular year, we can go back and make a correction. But we do not necessarily have a program to audit or monitor that.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yes, I'm gonna ask you the question, but it's probably be for Jim, got it. When the tax bill go out, there's gonna be a notice of some kind. Whatever that notice is gonna be stating that, the program is available. Now, there's still a number of people over the age of 65 that pay through their mortgage holder that never see their tax bill because they're paying it into the escrow account. Is there going to be something prepared so that those people will know? I'm sure there'll be something in the paper and so forth. But maybe Jim would have the answer to that.
One of the things we can do real easy is put a notice in the car bills.
Yeah. In the car, put them on both.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Jim answered the question for you.
let me address that if I can.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's the main reason why we extended the application period through February 1st of 2024. Because by that time, they would have gotten a notification from their mortgage company that their escrow account is changing as a result of, any increase in taxes. And so that, that allows ample opportunity and time, for those persons to come in and apply, and allows us, ample opportunity and time to process their application for the current tax bill.
Thank you.
All right, any further questions? All right, I will entertain a motion that the Borough of Naugatuck implement a senior homeowner local tax relief program for a 3-year period as set forth in the document prepared by Assessor Shelby Jackson. Motion.
Second.
All right, do we have any discussion? Are you good with that motion, Shelby?
I'm good with that motion, Your Honor.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right,
Thank you.
here we go. So we start picking up the pace.
I was like, we're still on the first page.
All right. I appoint John the Bishop III as the Borough Municipal Veteran Representative to the Connecticut Department of Veterans Affairs. All right, I appoint the following members to the Naugatuck Elderly Commission. Terms to expire 6/1/24. As it read, but I'll just read them quickly. Nicolette O'Kelly, Jesselyn Pito, Amber Burgess, Kyle Lawler, and TJ Palmieri. I also reappoint the following members to the Naugatuck Elderly Commission. Terms to expire 6/1/24. Catherine Green, Detective Aaron Boris, Joseph Badakari, Gretchen Carlson, Ruth Kovac, Stephen Zambruski, Jose Reyes, and Fire Chief Paul Russell. I also, item 14, reappoint John Alves as a regular member of the Police Commission. I would note that John does not live at 42 Jarvis Street in Cheshire. He lives in Naugatuck. That was his former work address. What?
This is on Johnson Street.
Thank you, Mr. Tax Collector.
What else do you want to know?
Who used to live on Johnson? Who used to live on Johnson Street?
Right. Okay, item 15.
Motion that the Board of Members approve the reappointment of Dr. Dory Anderson in Auburn Street, Naugatuck, as an alternate member of the Planning Commission, term to expire June 1, 2027.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion that the Board of Members approve the reappointment of Dale Sweet, 351 Union Street, Union City Road, Naugatuck, as a regular member of the Golf Commission, term to expire June 1, 2026.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Reappoint Robert Stabile, Casco Port Naugatuck, as a regular member of the Golf Course Commission, term to expire June 1, 2026.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion the Board of Members to authorize Mayor Hess to enter the contract with Woodward Current Inc. to perform environmental consulting services for the Naugatuck Industrial Park Phase 3, in the amount of $337,000.
Second.
All right, so this is our ongoing development of the industrial park at the New Royal property. Woodward and Current has been working on the site for the last 20 years. They're still working for us. Right now, we are still utilizing money that we budgeted for this. When we run out of money, we will, this is set forth to be covered in our tax incremental financing budget, which will be in place, I'm going to say late summer this year. We also, I'll just note that we will be starting our TIF committee meetings before that, probably July, August, and we'll get that rolling. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion the Board of Members authorize Mayor Hess to enter the contract with Ward and Current, perform the groundwater extraction system support and reporting services for Naugatuck Industrial Park Phase 3, in the amount of $28,800.
Second.
Standing by discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Board of Members approve the bids for contract fiscal year 24-B045 for general construction equipment, roofs, repairs, labor, and material rates to the following vendors as per bid as recommended by Public Works Director James Stewart, as if read. Second.
Well, this is the bid, that we put out with, finance and purchasing each year. And these are all respondents. Any particular questions, let me know.
Was there anything unusual about it?
Absolutely not.
Standard operating procedure?
Absolutely.
Any questions? Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Board members approve the bid for contract fiscal year 24 B046 for turf maintenance materials. Following vendors as per bid is recommended by Public Works Director James Stewart, as if read.
Second.
Any discussion?
Same discussion. These are what they buy their fertilizer, grass seed, and golf parks and street departments.
Questions? By the way, in any of these motions we're doing tonight, especially the ones we didn't get to yet, if we miss someone, we'll add them later. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Board members approve the bid for contract fiscal year 24 B049 for hauling and recycling services to include Nature's Harvest mulch. Naugatuck, Connecticut, as per bid as recommended by Director James Stewart.
Second.
Jim?
Yes, you may recall last month, we awarded, for grinding of mulch to Weed Care Denali. Weed Care Denali was by the daily rate significantly more expensive, than Nature's Harvest. But we felt that was appropriate because of the efficiency that they have shown in previous years over Nature's Harvest. Well, Nature's Harvest, Darren Simmons was upset over that decision. We met with him on the site. He assures us that he can be more efficient and be less expensive than we care to. So what I'm proposing you like approval to do is award this bid also to Nature's Harvest. I plan on bringing them both vendors to the pile, having them look at that pile and provide us a sealed estimate or guaranteed not to exceed number of days amount they're going to charge us. That way we can assure that we're getting the best deal. If we're going to get charged half, it's going to take them a little longer, it's worth it. So that way we can guarantee that we're getting the best deal and everyone's happy.
The other place out of Naugatuck too, or just Mr.
No,
Jennings?
just
Darren, right?
yes.
Nature's Harvest.
I think it's a very practical solution. All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion to board members to waive the bid for contract fiscal year 23 B008 for motor vehicle and equipment parts and repair to Gennaro Services LLC, Amity Road, Bethany. It's recommended by Public Works Director James Stewart.
Second.
Discussion. All those,
Last,
all those
there's
in
a little
favor?
discussion. Last year, we put out actually a 2-year bid for motor vehicles equipment because it was so hard to get people to bid in the first place. De Janeiro is a diesel truck mechanic who will work on some of the vehicles. Hopefully, we can save some money and send them vehicles that we would normally send to the dealership. Right, to save some money that way. So this would be 1 year, it would fill in, and be added to fall this year, and then we would rebid all next year.
It's savings.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion to board members to approve the bid for contract fiscal year 24 B053 for town hall first floor modification for the relocation of the tax department to Olympus Construction, New Haven Avenue, Milford, the amount of $172,000 is recommended by Public Works Director James Stewart.
Second.
All right, so, this is the matter that we discussed many times will be, building, an addition, so to speak, in the lobby, and we'll be relocating the tax department fully to the lobby, which will open up space on the third floor, where we have now placed our grant director. The building department has expanded. Jim Stewart and his team will be moving in there. They'll be next to Greg and engineering, and we'll have our real estate development wing all in the same place, which makes much more sense because we meet like 3 times a day. And Jim has to go back and forth, so, it's a better efficient use of the town hall facilities. Keeping in mind that we didn't want to make anything more extravagant, because we still plan in the not too distant future, when we do a new school to move, ultimately to Salem or Hillside School, when those schools go offline, and make the town hall part of the downtown development project. So we're not gonna entertain that until we start generating revenue from our new development projects. But at some point, in the, I'll say next 5 years, plus or minus, we will get to that point. Now, as far as this is concerned, 100,000 comes from 5-year capital. And 100,000 is anticipated to come from the where's Allison?
Fiscal 20.
24 surplus,
Fiscal 23 surplus, which will be
Okay.
happening in a few weeks.
which you'll know about in a couple of weeks.
Well, it does exist, 100, it just, you don't know how much more it is.
Right, so it's covered in the
Yes.
surplus for this year, but you don't know the final number of what the actual surplus will be.
Correct.
Okay. Good.
I think it's gonna be perfect for the town hall. It's a needed new section. To be more efficient, for the tax office anyways, and it also opens up the space on the 3rd floor for those different departments that need to expand a little bit. This has been something that we've talked about for probably the last few years. And I know that, probably a year ago, we allocated monies for Pistola to do a design of this project, so we're already really into this project. I know that there was a variety of bids that came back that were kind of ridiculous, and we went out to bid, I think, a couple of times. And I don't know, Jim, if you wanted to share some of those absurd bids.
Well, we went to bid the first time, and Olympus, the same company, was the low bid at 222,000. We went back to the engineer and made some cost cutting designs with assistance from the building department. So now the bid without the add-on sidewalk, which I think we're not gonna need because of the downtown harbor project, is gonna take care of our handicap access issue we have, the 172. Of course, the bids came in from 172 to $1,228,000. So,
We like 172.
yeah, and I did call, 3 of the most recent references, he gave us a slew of reference letters, all are glowing. And, I can't wait to work with these people because they're supposedly the best contractor in the world. Everyone just said they were a pleasure to work with. So I just can't believe it, but even the architects said they were great to work with, so.
Jim, is there a timeline, like, did they say approximately how long it will take to start?
I believe we have in the bid, a 6-month, completion time, which I think is ample to get it done. And they also believe it's plenty of time. The time it takes to get stuff, that's why we provided them with enough time.
So now that we're closer to getting rid of this building, even though I think 5 years is optimistic. There's no alternatives, there's no, let's relocate them to Central Avenue School or
Relocate who?
like the tax office. Where there's plenty of room over there, or the Bank of America building.
No,
I mean,
I'm just being
there's no
funny.
alternative to.
no, people for whatever reason love to walk into the town hall and pay their taxes, even though they can go to banks, pay them online, mail it. But people like to come to the town hall and pay their taxes.
And it just seems like a lot of money to put in a building, we're not gonna hopefully have at some point.
It's, you could say 172 is a lot.
I think it's the most cost-effective way to achieve our goal in the short term.
Yeah.
To make that an easy statement.
Good enough. I believe everything Bob says.
Well, thank you very much.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 28.
Motion the Board of Mayor versus waive the bids and approve the following consortium state and federal contract awards to continue to provide goods and services fiscal year 23-24, and to authorize Mayor Hess to execute all contracts, related documents, and recommendations by Controller Allison Bruce as if read.
Second.
You want to say anything, Allison?
Yes, I would like to say something. The detailed descriptions and website availability of the consortiums are in the motions as per the request last year.
You're not gonna forget that, are you?
No, I take it as a compliment. I'm like, let's do it better. So we all have clarity on what we're approving the motion for. So each of them, you should have enough information to do any investigation or look into any of the consortiums and see what they have to offer for the world.
Okay, any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion that the Board of Mayor and Burgess approve the following vendors to continue to provide goods and or services for fiscal year 2023-2024, and to authorize Mayor Hess to execute all contracts and related documents as recommended by Controller Allison W. Bruce as if read.
Second.
Allison?
The Borough of Naugatuck entertains an approval vendor type of purchase authority. And just to give a highlight of the usage of this purchase authority of approved vendor means that we are still responsible for getting quotes for any work that needs to be done. We're still responsible for getting comparative quotes among the approved vendors. But we're also acknowledging that a lot of these vendors are local vendors that we do an awful lot of business with and we have long-term relationships with. And we like to keep these long-term good relationships.
And again, if a vendor, a qualified local vendor or any qualified vendor wants to get on the list, we can do that at a later date.
Right.
All right, any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain.
One abstention noted for the record.
Motion the Board of Mayor and Burgess refer to joint boards of Mayor and Burgess and Board of Finance transfer request of $100,000 from the general fund to the contingency fund fiscal year 2023 as recommended by Controller Allison Bruce.
Second.
Allison?
That's a different motion.
Oh, okay,
It's a second one with the same amount.
gotcha.
So there'll be a second one coming up as well. This
Okay,
particular $100,000 is at the end of our fiscal year 2024 budget approval. We showed $0 in the contingency in our budget.
No, I know. what you're saying.
Even though we increased our contingency from $1,100,000 of last year to $1,200,000, we are moving money from the surplus of this year to cover the increase in next year's budget within the contingency fund. It allows for us to not have any impact on the fiscal 24 budget and still increase and meet what we're trying to accomplish with increasing the contingency. As you recall, it's contingency is in a contingency fund now. It's no longer pulling from the general fund balance or affecting the mill rate.
Questions? Group is falling down over here. Getting warmed up. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion the board of members approve the following list of uncollectible taxes, transferred to the suspense list in the amount of $354,3508, effective June 30th, 2023. Recommended by tax collector James Goggin as it read.
Second. All right, before Jim starts, I'm just gonna say one thing. Putting it on the suspense list does not mean we're not trying to collect it. We're still going after these funds. But our auditor wants the items to go on the suspense list for whatever reasons are consistent with proper auditing procedure. You want to add to that?
No, it's just that we won't be sending any more reminders on anything in 2018 or previous to that. They've all been suspended or on our suspense list. So if you get calls from people that the marshal will have found them 3 more years down the road, well, that's, too bad for them. We've done our due diligence for the last 4 years trying to collect them. These people should have already re-registered their vehicles with motor vehicle, which means that they should have paid their taxes in order to do that. So most of these people are transient people, or transient taxes, I should say, that are out of town. So we're gonna suspend them and they'll be with the marshal. And they'll pay 50% more.
All right, and every now and then, we do get complaints from people, 8 years later, who didn't pay their bill.
From points typically outside of Naugatuck. Some of them paid the first half, but didn't know they had a second half. I don't know if we guys have paid the bill.
All right, any questions about that? You want to take a break?
I'm in favor of both these next two.
Okay, all right. Any questions on item 31? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion the board of members to abate the taxes of the following properties recommended by tax collector James Goggin as it read. Second.
All right, Jim.
Those are mobile homes that are destroyed, 5 of those. One is a house that went up for auction about, I'm gonna say, 10 or 12 years ago. And what we received in the auction, we paid the taxes to a certain point, but it left some of them off. And they never got removed from the list, so bills are still there. So we just want to get the bills.
It's on the list improperly.
It's on the list improperly. And then the other one is the Bank of America building that the town owns, that they paid till whatever the month was that we bought it from. Those are the remaining taxes for that year. So they're gonna be completely taken off the list, not suspended, they're not collectible. We can't collect them in this year.
Right. Questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion the board of members authorize controller Allison Bruce to refund the following tax refunds approved by tax collector James Goggin as it read. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we had an addendum to the regular meeting. Motion that the board of members has added motion to the agenda, to refer transfer request to the joint boards of mayor and Burgess and Board of Finance.
Second.
Questions? All those in favor? Opposed?
Aye.
Board of Mayor Burgess, refer to the joint boards of Mayor Burgess and Board of Finance and transfer request of $100,000 from the general fund to the 5-year capital account fiscal year 2023 as recommended by Allison Bruce.
Second.
Questions? So we're just sending it to the joint force. When is that joint force meeting?
Next week,
16.
Okay. So we'll take it up at the joint force meeting.
16th on Friday.
Friday.
16th,
Friday, yeah, June.
Hold on.
It seems the Friday.
just said Monday the 12th.
Yeah, 12.
That's what I have it on my calendar.
Okay, Monday, the 12th.
Well, next week.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, public comment. So anyone in the room or on Zoom who wants to make a public comment? Okay, I was waiting for this, so
Yes, I'd like
please
to
come
know, we
forward.
had conversation.
Come on up, state your name and address.
Jacqueline Benoit, 140 Scottsville, North Connecticut. I had sent you an email in regards to the sidewalks. And I think that my street, because a lot of kids walk to the high school, should have to be waiting 4 or 5 years. I've sent you pictures, you said you were gonna forward it to whoever.
Right, so
It's charged,
you're
so-
gonna be closer to the top of the list. I don't know exactly where, but that's a bad spot, we agree.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other second call for public comment? Last call, public comment. Right. Highlight of the night, Burgess comments here, so,
Before you start, George has asked that you just skip him. He's not able to
say by
talk.
what?
If you would skip him for the comments. For
Okay,
Burgess
I
comments.
pass on George Murphy.
Right up, that's something to set help.
Yeah, the prisoner puke on.
Yeah, that's too.
All right, thanks,
For
guys.
the record.
This is what the public safety.
All right, Jan.
The only thing that I wanted to tell you is we had our first Fair Rent Commission meeting, and that went very well. We got some good people on that committee. And we have 2 more meetings this month. One's to elect the officers, and the next meeting will be state training, which ought to be interesting because it's not very long, and they're supposed to be the ones telling us what to do. And other than that, I finished my radiation, so hopefully I'll be down there next month when we have the meeting.
You have good color in your skin tonight. You look good on the big screen.
Choice of words.
Glowing? I haven't glowed in a long time.
Not green.
Right, thank you. I will say that I also feel good about the Fair Rent Commission. Everyone who's on there is really into it and looks like they're done it really well. Okay. Charlie.
We had a terrific month here in town. There's a lot of exciting stuff happening, the skate park opening, the food truck festival. Obviously, the downtown event of the duck race last week, and most importantly, the Memorial Day parade and the observances that occurred from 5:30 in the morning all the way until we finished the ceremonies on the main green. There's a lot to be proud of in town, and the excellent month for the town of Naugatuck. May was strong.
Right, and I'm gonna say it, and I'm sure you'll back it up, but anyone who wants to experience the true meaning of Memorial Day should come to the green on 5:15 and participate in those ceremonies. The public needs to know more about it because it's, I'm gonna say there's maybe 40 people there, but
I just learned about it on Memorial Day from Charlie. He told me when we got to the parade,
Yeah,
so,
well, I'm just saying that more people
yeah,
should
Joe,
know.
get the word out. See if-
yeah, definitely.
Trying to bishop something on the south to everybody. Events. And there was actually, before we split up into two locations, there was 29 people there. Out of the 29, 26 were actually participating and 3 were observing.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's really a beautiful ceremony, so very moving, and I encourage everyone to come.
Mayor, that's, that I do, it's education as well. I mean, that's where a lot of people don't realize that these monuments exist in town. It's always well known, where they'll give a little brief history of the monument, who put it there, when it went up, just to learn about the history of our town. And more importantly, you know, we're the most patriotic town around. Well, it's because of the people we're memorializing on that day. And that's a big piece of the puzzle. It's very important. We maybe even encourage some of the history departments at the high school to maybe get people to come down, our young people to come down and learn what it's all about. Because that is important. And getting the information out and getting education on is key.
Really. Dorothy. Good.
It was shiny,
I'd like to report that Dorothy is a regular member of the town circuit now, and she's everywhere. And master of ceremonies, all types of speaking engagements, good job.
And I hear she's gonna marry me in my next life.
Congratulations. Okay, Fran.
I just want to reiterate what Charlie said, with the exception of the parade. Parade is just awful circumstance. That's not the what Memorial Day is all about. And Charlie, I don't mean I'm going.
Thanks, Fran.
It is by all means part of it, an important part of it, but as Charlie and Mayor stated, the most important part is the actual memorial services that when we go to each monument, and there's a little thing mentioned about what each monument means and why we're there. And it's not one of my gripes, having served with some of the memorialized, is that it's not Happy Memorial Day. I want to make that clear to everybody within shouting distance. It is not Happy Memorial Day. You are honoring and respecting those who gave their lives. And veterans do not have Happy Memorial Day because their brothers and sisters in arms do along the way. And I reiterate that. And it's also not for the veterans, it's for those who never became veterans. One of my little gripes, and I understand. Thank you.
Fran, can I ask you, Fran,
No,
can I ask you a question? You know, the Veterans Monument we had at St. Hedwig's with the statue on front of the school?
yes. I remember it, yes.
We moved that to St. Francis and they redid the statue. Those were the World War II guys, I believe. I don't think you stopped there, do you?
So,
No,
but Jan, would you mention that to John the Bishop? It's a good
Yeah,
point.
it's on the left-hand side of the church. And they restored the statue and repainted it and everything.
I'll get it on the list.
I made sure that got moved somewhere.
It's a good point.
And a little other bit of history, there's one on the green that was from Peter Paul honoring the Korean War vets. And after Peter Paul closed and was sold, myself and another person encroached on their property, dug up the monument, and brought it down to the green. And after it was placed on the green, we called Bill Witkowski and invited him over. He was the Department of Public Works superintendent at the time that there was a new monument on the green. So, but I'll get that one on the list.
Sounds good.
So, Rocky.
Yes, so only one thing. I went out last week to take a look at some training the fire department did. And I gotta hand it to Assistant Chief Seaman. He was testing one of the firefighters on hooking up to a hydrant, on operating the pumps and doing everything in the right order and not missing anything. He actually put together a booklet that they now use to assess trainees, to go right down the list, to make sure they hit everything and they know everything right. And it also serves as for any firefighter to take a look and say, here's the way that we do things, all the different specific things. It was pretty cool the way he put the book together. I gotta give him a lot of credit. It's a lot of work. And he's doing that pretty much for every aspect of the fire department.
It's our training on this.
Yeah, he's great. That's
Could
it.
I just mention, and I don't know, well, you were at the meeting last night, you could mention the new additions.
Oh, to firefighter, well, firefighter and dispatcher.
Yeah,
Yeah.
firefighter and dispatch.
Yeah. Nice people.
And one of them, our newest firefighter, happens to be in the softball Hall of Fame. So next year, for the next competition against the police department, the firefighters are finally gonna win.
And the new dispatcher is amazing. I mean, amazing.
Yeah, Charles is good, and
I think that's
our new firefighter who was in the softball Hall of Fame as a pitcher.
Oh.
She is awesome.
Nice.
She is a great athlete. And I don't know if she'll be a good firefighter, but we got a pitcher.
Let's ask her if she knows Johnny Joyce.
Oh, I'm sure she does.
We used to work with her,
Yeah.
Johnny Joyce.
Jonah just passed away.
Yeah.
We no longer have drinks at restaurant.
Moving along.
Sorry to jump on that.
Meg,
Well, speaking of athletes, I just want to recognize our boys and girls track team, on both with an undefeated season, winning NBL championships. They had great performances at states
you left out the word again.
again, yes. And, we had a few athletes advance to New England's in Bangor, Maine, coming up next week.
Is that pro or what?
And they're both 4x4. So Kropo, Sansky, Design, and Lily. And I'm not sure if Jacob made it for high jump as well.
Okay, thank you, Mike.
Yeah, I do like the idea, the addition that we're talking about for the town hall here. And I haven't seen plans for it, but that number that they gave seems very fair to me, knowing what it costs to construct. In this day and age, with the price of everything. With that being said, I do have a strong concern for our parking lot. And I don't know, has anybody done an evaluation of that? Yeah. All right, because when I see these reports from New York and I see these 2 or 3 level parking garages collapsing, I think of this back here.
It's not that, it's the, I don't want to say too much because I'm not sure, but the aesthetics of it. The only way to fix it is to maintain it regularly and keep doing what we're doing, unless we wanted to totally redo it. Now, I've been told it's not a safety issue, it's just an issue of the way it looks, and that's another reason why we want to go this, but I guess I'll have Jim Stewart reassure us, but I've been told it's not a safety issue, it's an issue of having an uneven parking lot because of the way it was constructed.
Yeah, see, I'm not concerned about the way it looks, it's just that the reason the parking garages do fail is because the steel that's within the concrete corrodes.
Yeah.
And it just gets wet. And that parking.
All right, so
Our lot.
who can I,
It's not.
you
It's not.
can remind me to talk to Jim Stewart already, but
Aren't you gonna see this?
I get text them right now.
text him right now and tell him to call me tomorrow about the town parking lot, okay? Bob?
Hit a wall.
Good?
Yeah.
They don't want.
Okay. So do we want to take a break or go straight to executive session?
Great success.
Let me take a break, yeah.
Can I send the after?
What?
How about if I read the motion?
Yeah, go. We do the motion, you go and then.
Motion to recess to executive session at 9:05. For discussion of following real estate parcels A, B, C, Y, and Z, North Industrial Park, Section 3, Greenfield Rotary Field acquisition of land for downtown parking. Church Street parking study, tax incremental financing district, Church Street, Maple Street, former B&A building, former recycling center, Rubber Avenue. 30 Church Street, 0 Church Street, collective bargaining, fire union, street union, Chapter 89 union, Chapter 90 union, police dispatcher union, personnel, police social worker, contract negotiations, West Hill condominiums, and pending litigation inviting in. Nada. Or no one. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we're in executive session. Go ahead, Chief. All right, I'm gonna reconvene the regular meeting at 10:04. We are coming out of executive session. Let's go to item 37.
Motion to Board of Members to select Corvus Capital Partners as preferred developer of Greenfield pursuant to Borough Nordic request for proposals for Greenfield dated January 4th, 2023. Second.
I'm just gonna state for the record that, the selection committee, unanimously chose Corvus and is very happy with, their proposal for what will most likely become the largest taxpayer in Norfolk. It's going to be a large tax generating, building that's gonna look nice and, take a non-producing piece of property and make it a big producer, so.
Is that a project that would not wait for the train station? Or no?
Well, it's scheduled to be directly behind this one, so it's a good question.
Their timeline they presented, if I recall, was all based on this being done first.
Yes. Oh, okay.
It Being done,
Yeah. So, yeah, that's probably the case. All right, any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Right. I will entertain a motion that that I be authorized to enter into an agreement to sell, 0 Elm Street, which is the, approximately 6-acre parcel off Elm Street, or on Elm Street, to International Supply, which could build a lumber company on the site, for the sum of $300,000.
Motion. Second.
All right, any questions or discussion? I would just say anyone, who wants to see what a lumber company looks like should go up there now, because there's about $2.5 million of lumber right on the site. And what's impressive is that that lumber is only for their own projects. Like, by the way, one of their projects is for Spinnaker, which is,
In New York?
Ironic.
The one in New York? Are they doing a project in New York?
I'm sure they are, but the Spinnaker one is in Fairfield.
Okay.
All right, any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I will also entertain a motion that, I be authorized to enter into an agreement with with Stacy Ferrari to sell the former recycling center for the sum of $100,000 on the condition that she proves to our satisfaction that she is ready, willing, and able to construct the 15,000 square foot building that she presented to us.
Do you have a timetable on once she gets her?
4 months. And we only do verifying what was through.
When she gets the finance.
I think we,
I don't know what's taking so long.
She said, did you get the money? Nervous. Bad markets enough.
Yeah. Well, the Thomas Savings Bank's pretty good, so that's what she works with.
My cousin is a mortgage broker. He was here from New York this weekend. He said he's turning them around in 30 days. There's so many right now. They're turning around in 30 days.
93 months.
Motion.
Second.
Questions, discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, now Genesis Academy, which is, what was it, 600 over
Yeah,
there, right? Okay. You sure?
yeah, I am.
Okay. I might abstain on this because my grandson goes there, I go there every day.
Well, you don't get any money out of it.
No. I just feel,
Everybody's bought appliances from Ferraris.
Yeah.
yeah, no, I talk to her every day because I go in there twice a day.
However you do.
I'm good. All right, here we go. I will entertain a motion that I be authorized to enter into an agreement with from Vera Dowdy.
Would it be under the business name?
Well, okay, we'll say
Future Scholars?
Future Scholars Inc. To sell 600 Rubber Ave / Genesis Academy to Future Scholars for the sum of $450,000, with the closing to take place no later than June 15th of 2024. And in the interim, that commencing on June 15th of 2023, that we rent the premises to Future Scholars for $2,750 a month. Motion. Nancy, are you getting all this?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Assuming she doesn't have a DBA or anything.
We have to fix it. Okay, any questions or discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Right, I'll entertain a motion that I be authorized to enter into an employment agreement with Sherry Hatfield for a position as a police social worker as discussed in executive session.
Motion. Second.
Questions? Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Item 39. Motion to adjourn. 10:15. All those in favor?
Aye.